Welcome to the podcast about venture capital, where investors and founders alike can learn how VCs make decisions and reach conviction. Your host is Nick Moran, and this is The Full Ratchet.
Welcome back for another edition of Investor Stories. On this special segment, the experts describe the most important lesson that they've learned and how that has changed the way they invest. This is the special segment called Lessons Learned. On today's special segment, we have Tim Draper. Tim, can you tell us a story highlighting a critical lesson that has changed the way you invest?
Yeah, I think the critical lesson is anything that seems like a sure thing isn't. And anything that seems like an obvious business is probably not a good bet for a seed investor, because that if it's that obvious, there are probably 500 competitors going out at the same time. So a little bit invest in the fringes. I think that would be some piece of advice to other venture capitalists.
On today's special segment, we have Aaron Holliday of 645 Ventures. Aaron, can you tell us a story highlighting a critical lesson that has changed the way you invest?
Yeah, one lesson. So I mentioned the RTFE. That was a critical change to how we invest as a firm. But also, in the very beginning, we had a pretty broad standard deviation on our check size, right? So we might write a very small check in a company or a relatively large check as a function of the fund size in the company. And after we invested Fund 1, which is doing very, very well, it's a top quartile fund. It has kind of IPOs in it and everything. But what we learned was that if we actually had, on average, the same check size in every company that we invested in, so you keep the portfolio the same, but you kind of shrink the standard deviation, our overall investment returns would have been a lot higher than it is now. And again, like our fund is doing exceptionally well, but it could have been doing astronomically well by making an adjustment to the average check size. So if you think about our Fund 2, if you look at our Fund 2, Fund 3, and upcoming Fund 4, in our portfolio construction models, we have a very tight band on what those check sizes can be.
Got it.
On today's special segment, we have Anna Mason, managing partner of Revolution's Rise of the Rest Fund. Anna, can you tell us a story highlighting a critical lesson that has changed the way you invest?
Someone that I'm very close to, just on a personal front of my family, has long said that when someone shows you who they are, believe them.
Yes, my wife says that all the time.
It's been brilliant advice that I've taken to heart in my personal life for many years. And as the portfolio continues to grow and mature, it's absolutely a lesson that's wildly applicable to the venture and investing space as well. And I think we all have the opportunity to learn a lot about founders as we go through diligence processes. And I have found over the years now investing in a couple hundred startups that oftentimes the way founders proceed and interact during that process is very much so, almost always the way that they build their business. And I'm not saying you should or shouldn't invest in a startup because it's a beautiful data room or their Zoom background is immaculate. But I do oftentimes question when I see the Zoom background with like the crumpled bed sheets and kind of the garbage on the floor. It's a little wild to me. So I would say the contours of what it means to really back the founder at the early stage, I think is something we all talk about, but really experiencing what that looks like as you get into a long-term relationship with these operators. And it's often through, good times and boom times and sometimes bad times and wartime, and how they're going to interact and build and grow and cultivate a team. I've found as I reflect back, you really do learn a lot through that process. So really pressure testing with your team and with yourself, who you're backing and why is critically important.
That's great advice. I think I can hear the founders activating their virtual backgrounds as we speak. That will conclude this installment of Investor Stories. If you're enjoying the program and would like to see it continue, take a moment and leave a 5-star review in iTunes. Also, if you'd like updates on new content from TFR, as well as the top 10 VC articles every week, go to fullratchet.net and sign up for the newsletter. Okay, that will wrap things up for today. Until next time, over-prepare, choose carefully, and invest confidently. Thanks for joining me.